Hey, I'm Jiso, and I just watched the craziest World Cup final game in my life. That thing was wild, the wildest thing ever. So, welcome to God of War Ragnarok. Today, I'm going to be ranking the bosses from hardest to insane. It's going to be a top 5, but there's something to consider to keep in mind. My playthrough of for this game was made on the hardest difficulty. They gave me God of War difficulty, and I was attempting to beat every single encounter without getting hit. With that in mind, my top 5 is going to take that into account. Which encounter was the hardest when it comes to making it out of there without getting hit? And with that said, I think the World Cup was crazy, but what's crazier is we are almost there to 4,000 subscribers, something I think we can attain before the end of the year. So if you want to make me go even crazier, consider subscribing to the channel, and thank you. I think it would be unfair to make a proper ranking video without including the camera, because in my opinion the camera is one of the hardest enemies you're going to encounter in this game and throughout the entirety of your playthrough. Jesus Christ. So, what makes this camera abysmal? Well, first of all, it's very close to Kratos, and they introduced new enemies which just move around so much that it's hard to keep up. In most encounters, you are better off not using the lock-on system, because if you do, then it feels almost like you are being sucked into the enemy's attacks, which is weird. I have no trouble sometimes dodging attacks whenever I don't have the lock-on on, but the moment I do, it feels so weird. And also, you cannot forget, again, that they introduced the difference when it comes to God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018 was the fact that we didn't have that enemies which will move that much. And knowing that, you would think they will actually give us the tools to keep up with the enemy's newly found pace, but that's not the case. Instead, you have that little indicator telling you that something is coming. You don't know what, you don't know when, but something is coming your way, and you're most likely going to get hit. And I said that they purposely didn't give us the tools to keep up, because whenever you play as Atreus, you realize that everything just works. His dodge is faster, and his overall mobility is increased. So there is a chance that Kratos could have been just as agile, but he just isn't, just because why not? So yeah, the camera is very frustrating sometimes, and almost all the time you're going to regret playing this game just because of the camera. So yeah, it is one of the hardest enemies you're going to encounter, and it's going to be that way all the way. Oh my god, I think the name of that boss should have been the Hated, just because of how much I hated going against the Hateful. 6 times, by the way, you have to go against them 6 times. They barely stagger, they can just relentlessly attack you, they have friends which can just join the fight whenever, and the camera is also your best friend here, up in your ass, helping you die every step of the way. So, I was just encountering those guys whenever I was exploring, and whenever I would do so, I would encounter them, chances are I wouldn't be properly leveled, but I didn't want to just back off from the fight. I don't want to feel like a bitch, so I would feel like, I can make it, even though I would be better off just coming back when I have better gear. So every single time that would happen, I would see those guys, I would try to kill them here and there. And sometimes it worked out, and some other times I was getting demolished, because if you don't know, in the hardest difficulties, I think, whenever you deal enough damage to one opponent, they're going to attempt to recover some health, and whenever that happens, they're going to increase their power level. So assuming I was already somewhat under level by the time I encounter them, there is a chance that if I don't interrupt them in time, they will then power up. And whenever an enemy is 2 levels above you, their health becomes purple, which means that every single attack they're going to perform are going to be unblockables. Yeah, now you can only rely on dodging, but there is that one hit that they will perform every single time. It's like a 2-hit attack, but it almost looks like it's a 1 hit, but it's going to hit you twice. And if you properly dodge the first one, but on the second one, then you're going to get hit, and if it is unblockable, you're going to die. So it was always risky to go against those guys, but eventually you get better gear and you can tackle those encounters better. But Jesus Christ, I still hate those guys. because again, they don't stagger, they basically ignore everything you do. They look at you in the eyes and you just power up. Oh my god, they hate it. I just talking about them, I'm reminded of all the misery I had to go through just to beat them. Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for that one guy, that encounter would have been so much better, because the berserkers are not hard to deal with, but this guy, this very toxic guy, is the reason why this fight was hard. If you don't know, sometimes he will perform those blow rings attacks, and the problem isn't the blow rings attacks, it's the fact that he will slam the ground before he actually perform the blow ring attack. It means that he will sneak up behind you while you don't know, and it's so fast that if you don't block that initial slam, you get damaged. And mind you, I was trying to get through the encounter without getting hit, so every single time he would do that, he was very sneaky. That guy is very sneaky. He's going to wait for you to look away, and then he's going to slam the ground behind you. That's, oh god, it made this fight so much harder than it had to be. And sometimes, yeah, he would ignore he would just ignore the stagger from your attacks, and you just be dead. So it was risky to use your ring attacks whenever there was more than one enemy in the room. So you have to be very careful, especially when it comes to that guy, because if you are performing a ring attack and he slams the ground, you get hit. But overall, I think as long as you have those enemies in your line of sight at all times, that encounter could be fun. But again, that guy is very sneaky. He's going to try to go behind you and slam the ground. And every time that happened, I was about to just give up. But I just hung in there because I had to. But yeah, this fight is very difficult. Especially if you are under level, then you're going to fit it all the way. Oh yeah. And again, the camera too. always the camera. Coming up next, it's none other than Miss Are You Paralyzed by Fear? Yes, I am talking about Gina, the trash talker, because this lady is, she fights just as she talks. She's good. She's really good. I know right now I'm bullying her a lot, and I'm more confident when it comes to how to deal with her, and I can confidently beat her without getting hit. But I gotta say, my first times around, it wasn't the case, because Gina isn't hard, but she has some really cheap tricks which makes this fight quite difficult sometimes. My main issue when it comes to this game is the fact that enemies sometimes they don't fight you, they just run around, and you're like, wait, I got all those tools, I have all, like, I'm leveled up, like, come on fight me, like, come on fight. But all they do is run around. It's really hard in that kind of encounter because you have a stun meter, and sometimes Gina is really good at wasting your time. She will, whenever your stun bar is actually the stun bar is about to get filled, she's going to perform those four Asgard attacks when she can be interrupted, and she knows that she can be interrupted. She's going to do that 3 times in a row, and by the time she's done, the stun bar has completely decreased. Wow, what a bitch. Like, I gotta say, what a bitch. It's all those cheap tricks she has, and you get frustrated because you spend some time building that bar. And mind you, if you actually chase after her, because that's the only way to sustain the bar, that's the only way to make it so that it doesn't decrease. If you chase after her, she can punish you too. She has those attacks she can perform whenever she's backing off, and it's always risky. When you see her backing off, it's always risky when you actually try to engage, because you never know what's coming next. She can be backing off and randomly throws her wings, and then you get hit, and there's nothing you can do about it. Or you're actually chasing her, you are I say 2 feet away from her, and then you hear submit. When you close to her and you hear those words submit, you know you're dead, because you're going to submit her, right? Because there's nothing you can do. It is a grab, an unblockable grab, and being that close, there is nothing you can do, and she knows that. That's why she's saying submit. Yeah, and whenever she actually performs an attack, a yellow ring attack, and she knows that you didn't parry that and you are opened up, she's also going to say submit, because yeah, and if you don't have rage, you're going to submit again. And I gotta say, this girl is a bitch. She actually takes advantage of every single mistake you make, and it makes the fight even harder when you have to chase after her and you don't have a choice. You have to chase after Gina if you want that stun bar to never decrease, and she's going to punish you for chasing after her, making this fight way harder than it has to be. And again, she's not hard. I can confidently say today that she's not hard, but all those things she has makes her actually hard. And I gotta say, I love that she actually talks trash during the fight. The fight isn't quiet like the Berserkers. No, she's like, hey, I'm gonna give it to you, submit, you know, for Asgard or whatever. I like it. Like, I like Gina. Like, I really like her, even if she's kind of a cow sometimes. But speaking of cows, nothing comes close to this encounter. When it comes to difficulty, to frustration, you name it all, this fight has everything to make you go absolutely insane. Especially when it comes to, oh my, so many things I have to say about that encounter. Oh my god, the sisters of Ilka, and I think this is a she, right? Is this a she or he? I could never tell with the Berserkers, but I'm going to call her, I'm going to call them he. Evendi. Yeah, you probably heard that one word a lot because that's what they said before they attack you. Evendi, and then you get hit and you don't know what hit you. It's something that was 10 miles away which hit you. That encounter represents everything that's wrong and fun about God of War Ragnarok. I gotta say, making it out of here without getting hit was very hard. It was difficult because you have to fight one sister while the others are actually trying to kill you. And there is that one moment where you actually kill the sister, the main one, the big one, the fat one, and you think, I made it, I just have to take care of the last remaining two and that's it. And then you die because those girls are not going to make it easy. And I gotta say, this encounter in particular, sometimes it feels like it relies on RNG, sheer luck, because I swear to God, sometimes they will actually wait for you to just target one of them and don't do anything, but sometimes they will attack you all at the same time. I'm talking flames, the icy girl, the fire girl, and the fat girl are all going to attack you at the same time. And this is crazy because you cannot dodge that much in such a short time. It is impossible. So you're most likely going to die, and they know it, you know it, Atreus knows it, or whatever, Freya knows it. You're all going to die. That's a fact. So let me tell you about my strat when it comes to this fight. I always go for the big sister first, and then I deal with the little girls later. So I know some people have big balls, and they always go for the big girls first, and I'm like, I respect you. I respect the size of your balls, but I'm like, I don't want to die, right? So I always go for the first sister, and if you do want to have this strategy, you have to always have all three enemies in your line of sight, because your companion isn't going to do shit. They're just going to try, they're just going to dry the aggro on them, but they're not going to damage the enemies. Like, all of a sudden, Freya forgot how to fight. Queen Vanadis, or whatever, she forgot how to fight. I'm like, dude, listen, at the beginning of the game, Freya was a badass, and then she forgot how to fight. So all of a sudden, it is a 3v1, it's not a 3v2. No, you are very much on your own. So yeah, you have to deal with, not you have to, but I was dealing with the first girl, the first fat girl first, and then dealing with the other sisters. And every single time you have to keep all those enemies in your line of sight at any given time. And mind you, we already established that the camera can be shit in this game, so that's why I said that this fight encompasses everything that's wrong with the game. The Berserkers just ignoring your attacks, the camera not being your friend, telling you like, hey, something is coming, you don't know where, something's coming behind you, you turn, boom, big balls. Big balls in your face. And when it comes to balls, I gotta say, those red, it's not red, but I made it so that the balls are red, but they have some balls you can throw your axe at of whatever. You have to just do something to actually make those balls pop. I don't know what it is when it comes to this encounter in particular, but I swear to God that for this fight, whenever I would sometimes throw my axe would go through the ball. And then you are caught looking goofy because you missed, your axe isn't back, and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to die. I'm not die, I'm going to get hit. And in my case, remember, I'm trying to not get hit at all. So whenever I would miss that big red ball, I knew that was it. I knew it. So I tend never use. And they are very smart too. They will use that when you're very close or whenever you can tell is behind you or next to you, and if you miss, that's it. Because remember again that you don't have time to breathe because someone is chasing after you to kill you. So if you miss that ball the first time you throw your axe or whatever, you are most likely going to get hit, and that fight is very difficult because of that. I can confidently say that you cannot predict how it's going to come, how it's going to turn out. You just go in there and hope for the best. Sometimes they will again not attack you all at the same time, but some other times the game just tries to hit you with everything it's got. And yeah, it's give me God of War, babe. Sometimes it's like give me more bullshit. Like I gotta say, it's give me more bullshit because this game can be so much bullshit. But I gotta say, this fight is fun because when it comes to the berserkers in general, and this is why I didn't include the king isn't hard. It's just if you just get the hang of the first 3 berserkers you're going to encounter, you can deal with the king. It's just a very long fight. It's okay, you get this. But when it comes to the sisters, the good thing is they actually are the ones chasing after you. You don't have to do the chasing. No, they will chase after you. Which is fun, right? It is kind of fun in its own fucked up way. It is somewhat fun. So I would rather fight the sisters than, let's say, fight the king or fight anybody else except Gina. Gina is like the one girl which is actually fun to fight. The Valkyries were always fun to fight in God of War, and the Berserkers are no exception. They suck. But this fight is somewhat fun. Again, it is frustrating, it is annoying. You most likely just gave up on the game whenever you actually stumble in that room, and God forbid you actually under-leveled, or you're going to fit it all the way. It's going all the way up there when it comes to frustration. But hey, I love it. So this is my top 5, kinda. So, and I'm eager to know about your top 5. Like, who do you think is the hardest enemy in the game? I want to know about your top 5. Let me know about it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, to drop a like. We are on our way to 4K. Remember, 4K is the way. And I'll see you around. Bye bye.